Good morning. Welcome, beloveds. Oh, this traps me. Oh, good morning again. Hi. It's so good to see you. Welcome to July. Yay. We're already into July. So, you know what? Let's start by taking a nice, deep, collective breath. And let's speak our focus statement into existence, shall we? So, here we go. We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. Breathe that in. We've been working with that for the past month. And next week? Yes. Next week, the artwork that you created, painting all those letters and everything, is going to be hanging right there near where Allison is seated on that wall there. And then on this wall, we've got a special surprise for you coming. So we've got some artwork showing up in our sanctuary, making it even more beautiful than what it already is. How's that? And it's artwork that this community has created together as a collective. And how wonderful is that? Awesome. So, the theme for this month, since we focused last month on our focus statement, this month I thought a good theme would be to focus on our global vision statement for Centers for Spiritual Living. So in your bulletin this morning, or with your bulletin this morning, depending on how it got handed to you, you will see our global vision statement. And so I have this for you so that you each have a copy of that, and we will be going through this together this morning, and then I invite you to take it home and really look at it, study it, really investigate, and take it into meditation to see what it means for each one of you. But so the theme that we have chosen for this month, the way I've chosen to call it, is a vision of love. And actually, I was asking Ed, I told him last month, I said, you know, we're going to be working with the global vision, but the global vision just sounds like such a boring title for a monthly theme, the global vision, right? And so I said, you're creative and you've got this magic jukebox in your head, so what do you think, how would you rephrase that? And so he's like, how about Mariah Carey, A Vision of Love? I'm like, of course you go to Mariah Carey, and of course you go to A Vision of Love. And so that is how we came up with our theme for this month. So thank you to my beloved Ed for giving us the title for the month. So the vision, the global vision, the shortened version is we envision a world that works for all, or a world that works for everyone. We envision a world that works for everyone. And so what I can tell you about a vision is that when the vision is clear, the decisions are easy. When we have that focus statement, then the decisions are easy. And you know what? If this isn't working, this is... All right. If it's not working, let's not even bother with it. So, when the vision is clear, the decisions are easy. Yes? When the focus is clear, when we're focused and we have purpose and we understand what our purpose and we understand what our focus, we understand what our vision is, then the way we move through life is we can apply everything to that vision. And Ace, I'm going to move over here now. There you go. So that it makes it gives us purpose, it gives us direction, and it gives us focus. So I would like to go through this, and Tony's got it up for us, and I'd like for us to read the global vision together. You have it in your program also, but it's also up here on the screen. And so I'd like to do this together because by giving it voice, it's speaking it into existence, just the way we have been speaking our focus statement into existence, and we are embodying it, giving it voice, and hearing it, and speaking it, and reading it, begins to then embody what this is. And so we're going to be working with this and various aspects of this all month long so that we really are centered and grounded in this, okay? So, the global vision for Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide is a world that works for everyone. Let's say this together. We envision all people, all beings, and all life as expressions of God. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other. A world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. We envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, a world where everyone discovers his or her own personal and ability to create an individual life that works within a world that works for everyone. We envision a world in which we live and grow as one global family that respects and honors the interconnectedness of all life. A world where this kinship with all life prospers and connects through the guidance of spiritual wisdom and experience. We envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. We envision a world where each person has enough food, a home, and a sense of belonging, a world of peace and harmony, enfranchisement and justice. We envision a world in which resources are valued, cared for, and grown, and we are generous in continuous sharing of these resources. We envision a worldwide culture in which forgiveness, whether for errors, injustices, or debts, is the norm. We envision a world which has renewed its emphasis on beauty, nature, and love through the resurgence of creativity, arts, and aesthetics. We envision a world that works for everyone and all of creation. And so it is. How does that feel? It's a powerful statement, isn't it? It's a powerful vision that this organization that you are a part of holds. This is our guiding principle with the What We Believe statements written by Ernest Holmes and this global vision statement. These are our guiding principles for Centers for Spiritual Living. This is who we are called to be, and this is what we are invited to welcome into. This is who we are called to align ourselves to, and align ourselves with are these principles, this vision. For when the vision is clear, then the decisions are easy, right? Yeah. Yes. So I'd like to look at a couple of those statements. The one there that would be your second one down, the first big paragraph. We see a world in which every person lives in alignment with his or her highest spiritual principle, emphasizing unity with God and connection with each other, a world in which individually and collectively we are called to a higher state of consciousness and action. And what do we say here? We embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. So there you see our mission statement, our focus statement is perfectly in alignment right here with this very first statement from Centers for Spiritual Living in our global vision. That we see a world in which everybody is living their highest potential, living their highest spiritual principle, and living from that. And what is that? That is the power and the presence of love. That is the power and the presence of unity. Unity with and as the divine, as well as unity with each other, because who are we? We are the divine made manifest. We are love made manifest. We are the power and the presence of love, the power and presence of the divine. That's who we are. So when we walk through the doors, when we shake a hand, share a hug, see each other on the street, who is it that we're recognizing? Who is it that we're truly seeing? Who is it that we're called to see? We're called to see the divine. We're called to see past the unskilled behaviors of our neighbors and to love them as they are right where they are. And to call each other higher. It says it right there. Called to a higher state of consciousness and action. Meaning that we don't just sit on Facebook and right? Or tweet. We don't just sit on our meditation cushion on top of a mountain and oming, right? It's a call to action as well. And then the next statement says, we envision humanity awakening to its spiritual magnificence and discovering the creative power of thought, that thought is creative, that focused thought is creative, that the feeling behind the thought is creative. So we awaken to this creativity and to this power of this thought. We envision a world where every person discovers his own or her own personal power. And what power is that? Whose power is it? Mine, but it's the power in the presence of love. It's the power in the presence of God showing up as each one of us, individualized as each one of us. So we recognize that each person then is discovering his or her own personal power and the ability to create an individualized life within a world that works for everyone. In other words, that individualized expression, your individualized life, when lived in alignment, then is in alignment with the larger expression of a world that works for everyone. So if the world isn't working for one, it's not working for everyone. And where do we begin to start that? How do we begin to work with that? We begin our own work. It starts inside here. And we discover the who of who we are called to be. We discover our own true calling, our own true purpose. We open up and listen and make ourselves available to that awakening within each one of us, to our own spiritual magnificence. And then we call it forth in our brothers and sisters and our siblings. What a powerful thing that is, right? What a wonderful responsibility to have. A responsibility to ourselves and a responsibility to each other. Let's hear it. I take responsibility.
I take responsibility.
I take 100% responsibility.
I take 100% responsibility.
Because I am the power and the presence of love.
Because I am the power and the presence of love.
Yes, yes, you are. So, when we open up to the call on our lives, when we open up to that divine purpose, which is at the very center of our being, at the very core of who we are, and we begin to align ourselves with that, life flows, life happens. We talked about the law of grace a couple months ago. Some time ago, we talked about the law of grace, that when we're living in alignment, then everything flows into that alignment. And we don't have to make something happen. We simply surrender and allow the Spirit to move through us. Allow the divine to live its life as each and every one of us. And so what I'd like to do in this moment is I'd like for us to enter into a spiritual practice together, if you will. We're going to enter into a life visioning process, coming together in quietude to vision for our own individual lives, our own individual life purpose. And visioning is not the same as visualizing. Visioning is opening up to the intuition of spirit, is opening up to your higher intuition, is opening up to that still small voice of divine wisdom within you that speaks constantly, that is constantly unfolding if we but allow it and we but listen to it. We turn our attention to it. So the first thing when we go into a visioning process is we start from a place of unconditional love. And wow, this community has got some unconditional love here. Because love lives here. We know who we are. We practice the transformative power and presence of love. And so we start from that place, the place of unconditional love. And then we enter into a place of receptivity, a place of deep listening. What Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith calls reverential alertness. And we enter into that space. So I invite you to go ahead and just close your eyes if you're willing. Find your feet comfortably on the floor, your hands comfortably in your lap. We'll enter into a meditative state, and I will ask a few questions and just simply allow whatever is in your heart to come through into your awareness. And simply be present with what is. And so right here and right now, we begin with the presence of love. Recognizing that the unconditional love of God is everywhere. It is right where we are. It is the who of who each one is. And so I invite you to think of a time or think of a person or an animal or a situation where you've experienced unconditional love. Love without any condition whatsoever. No attachments, no strings, no expectations. Just pure love. Multiply that by 5. Feeling even more love. Multiply that by 100. Feeling even more and more love. You're awash in love, standing in a field of love, a field of consciousness, a field of love. Every cell in your body vibrates with this experience. And in this place of love, I invite you to hear with your ears behind your ears. You don't have ears to hear. You have ears because you hear. So open to the inaudible. In a state of reverential alertness. And in this state of reverential alertness and in this state of love, I ask this question and allow you to accept it as your own. What is the divine's highest idea as my life? Another way of asking it, what is wanting to emerge in my life now as the divine? What is my life's purpose? The high idea of my life. What is that? be open and receptive. And so in order for this high idea to come into fruition, to come into manifestation, what must I align myself with? What must I become? Because first is consciousness, then there is form. So therefore, what is it that I am called to become? What must I become? What must I first be in consciousness for this vision to manifest? What must I become? And what must I release? We know that 100% of spiritual development, 100% of spiritual growth is about releasing those things that no longer serve, releasing those things that we've allowed to block the path of the vision. So what is it that I need to release in this moment for this vision to come forth? What is it that I must let go of? What is it that has been standing in my way, and I now say thank you and I let you go? And then, sweet Spirit, is there anything else you would have me know at this time? I am ready, I am listening. Is there something else to be known in this moment? And so what we know is where there is a willingness, there is a way, and I don't need to know the way itself. I don't need to know the how. I simply am open to the what. And I know that Spirit does the work. It is not I, but the Spirit within me that performs the work in front of me. It's simply me opening up to yet another dimension, another paradigm, another idea that is already occurring in the mind of God, that is already occurring in the divine. And I'm simply opening and allowing myself to be a vessel through which it comes into form here, and I am willing to do that. I say yes to my willingness. I say yes, yes. And I commit to the vision. I commit to that which has been revealed here this morning. I commit to being that which I am called to become, and I commit to releasing that which I am called to release. And I simply stand in gratitude for all of it, for all that has been revealed and all that yet remains a mystery. I stand in gratitude for the vision that already is, for the high idea, the high calling on my life. I say yes to it, and I give thanks for it, and I let it be, and so it is. So take a moment and breathe in that experience. Breathe in that which may have been revealed to you this morning. If you choose to, you've got paper in front of you, there's pens there as well. You might want to jot a few things down, just so that you remember key words or key phrases as to what may have come through for you this morning. Remember, when the vision is clear, the decisions are easy. You've had just a momentary peek, a momentary glimpse into a higher calling upon your life this morning, into that higher vision for who and what you've come here to be. This practice of life visioning is a transformative practice. It transforms your life if you are willing to allow it, if you're willing to work with it, if you're willing to sit in the silence and simply ask. And the answer is given. Ask and ye shall receive. Knock and the door shall be opened. And it's the quality of your question. It's an opening, not a begging or a pleading. It's simply an opening, an allowing, a listening, a reverential alertness. And then saying yes. That divine, sacred yes. And this is one of the practices of how we are called individually to a higher state of consciousness. How we are called into a higher state of action. How we practice our unity with the divine and each other. This is how we awaken to our spiritual magnificence. This is how we discover our own personal ability and power. And this is how we learn and catch a glimpse of our individual lives that work for each one of us. Yes, Dottie, a nice deep breath. So let's do that together. A nice deep breath. Feel the love vibration in this room right now. Feel the presence of the divine emanating from right there where you are, from the center of your being. So this past Sunday, using our focus statement, we embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love as a guide. And using our global vision statements as a guide. And using our principles as a guide. This community came together in a powerful, powerful way last Sunday night. Last Sunday, 150 people or more gathered in our sanctuary. Wow. Because we chose to stand in principle. We chose to embolden people through the transformative power of love. We chose to call each other higher. We chose to live from this high vision of a world that works for everyone and all of creation, and we invited others in our community into our house to experience that together. So last Sunday, we had a prayer and candlelight vigil here, and it was amazing. And so what I know is lives were transformed that evening. Lives were absolutely transformed that evening. And I wrote a letter to our leaders of our denomination, to the ministers and to the National Leadership Council, to Ken Gordon, to Tracy Brown. And I'd like to share what I wrote with you, because I'm extremely proud of this community. I'm extremely proud of the work that we are doing in the world. Sorry, I'm not going to shuffle that much more. And so I want to share with you exactly what I shared with them, because I think it's important that you hear what we've accomplished so far. So here we go. Lives were transformed last Sunday night at Riverside Community Center for Spiritual Living, and those lives will have far-reaching positive impact on the lives of others in ways that we will never know. We held a candlelight and prayer vigil for the children and families that have been separated by the current administration's zero-tolerance policies on immigration and asylum seekers. Truly Spirit-led, this event, the scale of which would usually take a few months to prepare, came together in 3.5 days' time. It was an incredible evening and an exquisite example of the divine at work. It was more than a vigil. It was more than a rally. It was a movement in consciousness. We had over 150 people from the community at large attend and participate in the event. How did we do it? We engaged. We got involved. We reached out to the community. We made connections and we established relationships. We collaborated and partnered with community organizers from Indivisible 41 and Rise Up California, with representatives from the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity and the Inland Coalition for Immigrant Justice, with clergy of the Interfaith Council of Riverside, an immigration attorney, and members of the Riverside Unified School District, as well as the Riverside Resistance Revival Chorus. Each had an opportunity to educate those gathered and to speak truth to power during the event. And in my conversations with each of them as we were organizing the program, I invited them to channel their divine discontent and to use it as a creative tool to call us all higher through their messages and their statements. Our own Voice of Truth choir and musicians performed additional music, including an original song written for this occasion. Our members read the position statements from the Parliament of the World's Religions, AGNT, and CSL. They also read essays written by residents of Riverside. Soon-to-be Reverend Dr. Victoria Bomberry delivered a message on the issue from the Indigenous perspective. We had professional simultaneous interpretation in both Spanish and ASL, American Sign Language. We also worked with our community partner, Youth Cameras Action, a nonprofit organization helping at-risk youth develop trade skills in photography and videography to film that evening. The video is up on Facebook now. It's up on YouTube as well, so you can check that out if you weren't able to be here. So thank you, ACE, for that. Everyone who participated that evening volunteered their time and talents. And at the end of the evening, I delivered a message from the Science of Mind perspective. I quoted Dr. Ernest Holmes' Sermon by the Sea about being for something and against nothing. I included his statement of what we resist persists, and Einstein's idea that we cannot solve a problem at the level of the consciousness that created it. I called the current administration to a higher consciousness and a higher way of being, and I issued the same call to the people gathered there that evening. I reminded each of them of who they truly are, the transformative presence and power of love. And I shared with them that one with God is a majority. We closed out the evening with spiritual mind treatment, followed by candlelighting and everyone singing John Lennon's Imagine. Our approach to this event exemplifies contemporary application of science of mind. It also shows what spiritually motivated social engagement can look like. So why did we do it? We did it because we could. We did it because this is not about politics. It is about integrity. Do our actions align with what we say we believe? Are we embodying our teachings and living them, or are we hiding behind them, using them to justify our inaction because we are afraid? Most social issues today have been politicized, but the issues themselves are not political. They are about whether we choose to treat each other with love and compassion or not. Whether we choose to recognize the divine in each other and act from this place of unity or not. We did it because it is our responsibility as people of faith, as religious scientists, and as compassionate human beings to use our prophetic voices to stand up for our sisters and brothers and siblings who are unable to stand for themselves at this moment and who are silenced by unjust and inhumane policies and practices. We did it because we are uniquely qualified as religious scientists to not only speak, but to walk into existence the high idea of a world that works for all. We have the opportunity to be the change and to call it forth in others. If not us, who? This is our moment. We may not be walking the front lines along the southwest border yet. However, Sunday's vigil proved to be a source of inspiration, comfort, rejuvenation, strength, and love for those who are doing the work. One community leader sat over here and she smiled at me through tears as she listened to the message. Several other leaders sought me out afterward and shared with me how deeply moved they were to be a part of something positive, to contribute to something positive, and be part of something positive, to hear an uplifting message of love when their day-to-day lives are regularly filled with negativity, anger, confrontation, and hatred. Shifts happened in consciousness that night. And as we know in this room, as we know when there is a shift in consciousness, then it ripples out to all those with whom these beloveds come in contact. As Reverend Dr. Michael Beckwith says, where there is a will, there is a wall. Where there is a willingness, there is a way. So this is just one way we as ministers, practitioners, and members of Centers for Spiritual Living can treat and move our feet. We know the power of prayer. Lives of countless people, including asylum seekers, have been affected because of the love that was radiating from this sanctuary that evening. Immigration attorney Hadley Baramovich shared with me on Friday, I have maintained throughout these times that the power to change is through the congregations and the loving people who wish to help and love their neighbors. Thank you for the opportunity to participate, and we are grateful for the support. Clearly, it made a difference this week as we had a federal judge ordering reunification of families on Wednesday. The power of prayer. And it all began with a willingness. It all began with a willingness. A willingness to, as Dr. Roger Thiel said on Tuesday at the AGNT, the Association for Global New Thought, at the AGNT rally in Chicago, as he said there, he said, it began with a willingness to, quote, get off our big, fat affirmations and do something. At Center for Spiritual Living, at Riverside Community Center for Spiritual Living, we embolden people to live their highest potential through the transformative power of love. This is our mission. The vigil on Sunday night was truly ministry at its best. It was a demonstration of how we in Centers for Spiritual Living can take action and stand for something. Reverend Michael Gott recently said, faith without works isn't dead. Faith without works isn't faith. I call us all to remain faithful and engage. Love, Reverend Jeffrey. Beloveds, you did this. You said yes to being present. You said yes, and you said, you had a willingness to step forward and be the power and the presence of love. This is you. This is our community taking leadership, taking a leading role, not only here in Riverside, but guess what? In Centers for Spiritual Living worldwide. That is what's happening here at Riverside. Yes, you did that. This community did that. Give yourselves a hand. And so some of you may know Reverend Mary. She was the minister here several years ago. She wrote me yesterday, told me to give you her love and how excited she is to see what this beloved community is doing and taking a lead in our movement and our organization. So Reverend Mary sends her love. David Alexander sends his love. Tracy Brown, the president of Centers for Spiritual Living, the president of the Leadership Council, sends her love and gratitude. And Reverend Dr. Ken Gordon, spiritual leader, sends his love and gratitude. People have heard. People are watching. Let's continue to love and move together because love lives here, and so it is.